This is TechNOW. I'm your host, John Reed, also CEO of Canada Alliance, and we're pleased to have with us today the author of a new book on the marketplace, thought leader in IT, known to Canada for many years, Michael O'Neill. So Michael, your new book, I'm reading the title, The Death of Core Competency, Cloud Computing and Management in the Zero Friction Future. Now, can you put that in plain English for us? Why the book, and what were your insights in terms of cloud computing?
I'm surprised you don't consider that to be plain English, John. I thought that was very clear.
I want to know how I can realize value in the cloud. Give me some advice. Give our viewers some advice. What did you learn by doing the book? I know that's a considerable research project on your behalf.
Well, and the book itself kind of started with a singular insight. You know, we talk quite a lot when we discuss cloud about technology. We talk about infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service, or private public hybrid. And in thinking about it, it occurred to me that really wasn't the key message behind cloud. That if you took all of cloud, the totality of cloud, from the very first time anyone ever used the word to the very last moment that anyone ever will use the word, and you plotted that on a 24-hour scale, probably only about the first 90 minutes of that are about technology. The other 22.5 hours are about how management changes because of the technology's ability to reduce the friction to new automation to or almost to zero. And you know, we still talk a lot about public cloud and private cloud and PaaS and IaaS and what have you, because we're still in that first 90 minutes. But we're approaching the point at which we realize that the real message here is that we can reduce the cost and the time and the effort required to automate functions across the organization, across the enterprise, to almost zero. And the insight that sprung from that was that will have a profound impact on management. As managers, you know, everybody has used the phrase, we're sticking to our core competencies. We're going to manage our core competencies. That's going to be a failure path in the future. The notion that you can successfully pursue 3 or so objectives will make you a dinosaur in a market where people can apply almost frictionless SaaS-based automation to 40 functions within the organization. They don't need to be as good at you at those 3 things if they can be 80% of the way to perfect at 24.
Now, would that also apply to the startup environment in Canada and elsewhere? Because there's no friction, there really is less obstacles to getting that new idea developed and into the marketplace. And of course, that can be a competitive threat to those people that are hanging on to traditional core values.
And there's always been a thought that cloud would help level that playing field, but I think that the reality has been that many startups have found that while cloud reduces the cost of, for example, core infrastructure, it doesn't yet really make it a lot easier to do accounting, to do HR, to manage the sales funnel, or to automate marketing. But those capabilities are coming online, and we're seeing, you know, new generation managers realize that they're better off understanding how to orchestrate the best of what they can find online to address, at least to some degree, those requirements, rather than to say marketing automation is our core competency, we'll focus there, or sales is our core competency, or software production, or what have you.
Now, we have some research which suggests in Canada that we're lagging behind in terms of digital adoption, and hence you're pointing out the benefits of reducing friction and costs. So what's the stopper here? What's the obstacle? Why is there this slowness in adoption?
You know, the adoption barriers, I think, the primary adoption barrier in a small company, a large company, or a mid-sized company is much more likely, especially rolling forward, to be cultural than it is to be technical. I think that we have managers, not just in Canada, but everywhere, who've grown up with the idea that they need to focus on a limited set of priorities. And I think that, you know, Canadians perhaps focus more tightly on a smaller number of priorities than people in some other countries. But I believe that we're on the cusp of an era where the ability to broaden out one's mind to focus much more widely across multiple functions will be a critical differentiator. And Canada's not so far behind that it's not possible to catch right up on that.
Well, Michael, you've made your case. I want to buy your book, and I understand you have an event in Toronto too. So I always like to give the keynote, so to speak, the last word. So why don't you tell us how we can get a copy of the book? Because we need to know how, and then maybe you could refer to an event that you're giving a briefing at.
Thanks very much. Yeah, the book will launch at a CenturyLink event. CenturyLink was nice enough to help me with the production of the book. And we're launching at their event on November 3rd. The book will be available online via your usual channels after that. There will be a link on insightAAS.com to that. And if you go to the LinkedIn group, InsightAAS/cloud, there's instructions both on today on how to register for that event, where the book is free if you happen to be in Toronto for that, John, and also the instructions on how to purchase the book will be available through that group as well come the 3rd.
Well, Michael, I want to recognize and thank you for your thought leadership. It's very important that we have these types of conversations as we all try to figure out how to do business better and more efficiently. So I wish you well with your briefing that's coming up in a week or so. And thanks for joining us on TechNOW. John Reed signing off.
Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure being here.